Hello there, this is Reg from Micro Grinder with the 14th of my third channel snap videos. The time is currently 2:15 AM on a Sunday morning, and hopefully the games should provide us with a decent amount of action. Just going to call here to keep this limper in the pot. I think if we 3-bet there, missed for the enemy, but I think if we 3-bet there, we tend to isolate ourselves against the strongest of Dopey's range and probably make pawn play fold 2, which isn't really going to be that good for us. When Dopey checks back here, I'm just going to bet twice. I think he's probably checking back his give-ups and marginal hands, probably not checking too many jacks back. So the plan was to bluff, and now the plan is to value bet, and will we fold into a raise? I think there's too many hearts in his range. I think he'd see bet a lot of hearts on the flop. I'm not going to squeeze here. I don't know any of these players, so we'll just opt to keep the pot a little bit smaller. And now I'm just going to lead out because we've hit top pair. It's a wet board. I believe we can get caught by plenty of worse hands, and I don't really like many of my options. Check raising, check calling. I prefer just take the initiative in a multi-way pot and just keep betting my hand for value and probably fold into a raise. That river is not particularly nice. Can I get much value? The question here is how often does he have diamonds versus maybe a hand that can call. There's not many worse kings he can have. Is he going to call with a hand like tens or jacks? I think you're a bit small enough, it will. Obviously he's going to call with better kings. With the value bet better kings if I checked, I'm not sure. So then we just go for the thin value. And he folded, which might mean my bet wasn't great. Yet I could 3-bet, I could call against another player I don't know. It's not a time of day I'm used to playing these games. Where's the aces first? I think I'm just going to call. Try and keep some worse hands in. We're just going to start betting against another. We've got lots and lots of unmatched players here. That can mean one of two things. I just don't know the player pool very well because third channel's not my main game, or it means there's a lot of non-regulars around. I suspect it's probably going to be the latter. I'm going to float here with my 2 overs backdoor straight draw, and I will be attacking any weakness. If he checks here, we're just going to bet twice now. Going to bet reasonably small on the turn, and possibly fire quite a large river bet, unless he raises me or something. That's not the best of runouts. If he is bluff catching with Queen X, he's probably not going to fold. But I'm trying to target hands like 2 9s, 2 10s, 2 8, not 2 8s, 2 9s, 2 10s, get them to fold, maybe 2 jacks, who knows. So let's see. I mean, we're not going to try and make him fold a queen here. Really interesting that he took that line. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know I'm going to peel him light and then just barrel off. So I mean, I think he's just showing some weak type tendencies there rather than playing his hand particularly well. once. Speed poker. I'm taking around playing, doing whatever it is you're doing. So he's donking this flop. I think the problem with my hand here is it's really vulnerable to being counterfeited. Even if I have the best hand, I'm not that likely to realise that equity, and on top of that, I can't really call down too many streets, so I'm just going to fold here, even though I think threes could be the best hand, a decent amount there. Thinking you have the best hand and then actually getting to realise that equity are two different things. When we got the weakest threes there, I don't mind just folding. I'm going to peel here versus Seedborn. It's changed his game a little bit recently. He used to have quite a few reasonably easy to read tells, particularly with sizing. He's certainly made a change in the very recent past, last few days. Never interested in this talking to me. I mean, he's changed that much. I'm not even sure it's the same player. I mean, it probably is, but the guy never used to chat. He used to have some really exploitable sizing tells. And I'm not so sure of him at the moment. So until I figured out what he's changed and what he's doing. And the best way to do that is to try and get to showdown with him sometimes. But it's hard to get to showdown there with that hand we had. Make a pretty standard c-bet with the ace king. I think when we see flops as dry as that 10xx dry, we have a hand like ace king, I think we can find some pretty safe c-bets and with some intention to favour some turns. Particularly any kind of Broadway card. So this guy's made quite a large c-bet into two players. I just don't think he's going to be bluffing too often here. We don't have that much equity. So we'll just get out of his way. Here, pretty easy c-bet on the king high board with no showdown value. And now we pick up a straight draw. So our equity in the hand has increased, but our fold equity has probably remained the same. I could barrel here and maybe try and get him up to 10. He's never going to fold a king. But I think I'm still going to barrel and then just keep up the rebate if I don't improve. I think this is quite a profitable barrel here because when he calls, we're going to improve sometimes to the nuts or to a strong hand, and sometimes he's going to fold too. That's a really good spot to, not a really good spot to barrel because the turn doesn't give us any fold equity. I do believe it's a decent barrel because we have pot equity. And now I'm just going to check and expect to see a king most of the time. Oh, hit the flush draw. Just try and pick the pot up here with my gut shot. 2 overs. What I have noticed in these games is that, for want of a better way of putting it, not many of these players are particularly good post flop. Their pre-flop stats that make them look like good regulars certainly belie them most of the time post flop. When they're making plenty of mistakes, either by being over aggressive, under aggressive, just generally just playing quite badly post flop in lots of spots. And I think it's because a lot of the time They're playing aggressively with depolarised ranges, particularly in 3-bet pots, and to be frank, I just don't think they know what they're doing with them half the time. I think they get themselves in messes pre-flop, and then they like a pre-flop plan with the hand, and then post-flop, a lot of the time after the actual flop passes by, they just play really badly, both in terms of depending on the players. I've got some really good reads on players now. There's not that many well-balanced players, let's put it that way. They're either erring too much on the side of aggression or erring too much on the side of being weak tight. And I'm starting to build some good reads now on the players in the 15L pool who are like that, and been having some really good success lately. And then in the 13L pool, less so because I just don't know the players as well. But I think in the 13L pool, there's much more of a tendency for players to play pretty weak tight post flop most of the time. I don't think people are semi-bluffing too often. I don't think people are flat out bluffing too often. I think most of the time they're raising with depolarised value ranges. So quite often they're raising with hands that they shouldn't really be raising with post-flop, because it's not that easy for them to be getting caught by worse, etc., or folding better. They're just playing the classic style of where people used to raise to find out where they're at, but then they're actually not really knowing how to process the information. And I've seen a lot of players play really quite badly, which is obviously good for me. It's nice to know in what way they're playing badly. I would have a bluff catcher here. Sadly, I don't think he's bluffing too often, so I'm just going to let that go. Against Seedmore here, had he raised a button, I would have been 3-betting and getting it in. As it is, we're just going to go for a squeeze. It's not the best squeeze spot because the green tag player may call, which may bring the regular along. So I'm going to make a slightly larger than usual squeeze, just to hopefully discourage the regular from calling if the weaker player calls. And it's shove, so now we just have a really easy call and hope to win, which we're probably not going to. Nope, not this time. Perhaps I should have checked my note on it first. That's not the most flattering note of all time, but if I had have noticed that, I absolutely would have made the same play. So, and because I just read that note on him, I'm now going to pot stuff from the button rather than make a more standard size open, because I think he's probably going to be bad. He's just sat out after doubling up, which is a little bit disappointing. But what can we do? I'm just going to call here because I don't believe squeezing will do me any good. Here I'm going to treat this min bet like a check, and I'm just going to fire a continuation bet. This guy has no money. I have a playable hand. If a 3-bet, do I really want to get 20 bigs in pre with King Jack? It's not an ideal situation, but I think against this player type, I probably will. It's a bit of a problem now, sticker's called, because if this guy now shoves, it puts me in not the most pleasant of spots, as it's folded. Not in that unpleasant spot anymore, but we've got rather unpleasant flop, which I'm just going to give up on. No idea what Seedmore's cold calling range is there. Because he's playing really differently to how he used to play. If you actually see Seedmore, I think you're mixing your game up, but it doesn't feel like it's better right now. Maybe it is, who knows, but it doesn't feel like it is. It feels like you're actually playing worse, but maybe you're not. Let's start off by checking here. Seems like the most logical thing to do when we full up to the under pair. So what does his raise like when he checks back? I would imagine hands like pocket nines, pocket eights, some ace highs. I'm just going to check again, and I'm going to call if he bets, and then decide on the river based on his sizing if he bets the second time. He doesn't. Now I think I'm just going to go for a little bit of thin value from pocket eights, pocket nines. Hopefully we can get called. If we get raised, I think we have a really easy fold. This guy pretty much snap called the flop, which would probably indicate a draw more than a made hand. If he raises it, would be really interesting because he could absolutely have worse jacks. He could also have fours full and sixes full. That's a pretty ugly river card. I'm just going to probably check fold here. Unless he makes a really small bet, like $6, $7, something like that, then I'll cry and call and expect to lose. But as it happens, he either just had a hand he'd given up on, or maybe probably more likely some kind of underpair to the jacks, would be my guess. He actually had the jack. That river was really quite unfortunate. Probably cost me the rest of his stack there. Maybe I could bet, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure we can bet there. It seems a bit thin to me, given that the obvious draw came in. And he played it sound like a draw with that. How he snap called both times. But maybe that'd be a nice timing tell to put on him if we're going to be confirmed in a second spot. Just going to receive it here because I don't believe we have an awful lot of showdown value, but we do have some backdoor equity and an overcard. 3-bet here with my ace king suited. Again, I don't know the player from Adam. He could be the next Phil Ivey. He could be the next, who knows, Phil, someone who's not very good at poker. But we have a good hand, so let's just 3-bet it. Bet here is a bluff with our blocker. Something I have stopped doing myself very recently is 3-betting hands like ace queen, ace jack, etc. from the blinds. My reason for doing that is, to be frank, I don't feel I was playing too well in those spots when I was 3-betting with those hands. I was kind of missing quite a few flops, so when I was flopping big, it seemed like I was still getting value on by the slightly better hands, and overall it just wasn't the situation. I was growing increasingly more uncomfortable with the situation. So I've definitely altered my 3-betting ranges recently, and for better or for worse, it feels like I'm playing better with the new ranges that I'm playing and the way I'm playing my ranges. So hopefully that'll work out for me. Now in the last hand where I checked 2 tens on the Queen XX, I checked because I was willing to check call. I'm not willing to check call here, so if I'm not willing to check call, I'm just gonna like kind of not bluff, but just try and pick up the dead money. When he calls, check call, set out position versus pre-flop raiser, so he slow plays, and then he donks top pair. Don't really help me either way in this situation because he is in position, so it is a different situation, and when he makes that size bet, I could no option but just 4 or 2 sixes. It's not the end of the world. And again here, we've got the bottom pair just about. Pretty easy fold. Ooh, pair and a flush draw. Let's see how much this is going to cost me. The question here is, do I raise or do I just call? What does raising achieve? Probably not a lot. We're not going to get value, that's for sure. There's not going to be many worse hands to call. Am I going to get him to fold better? Will he fold a jack? Probably not. Could I get him to fold a hand like 2-8? Maybe, but I think we're just going to call that. It seems like the best play to me at the moment. And when he raises, with that stack size, I think I'm always going to get all of his money when I hit. I don't believe jamming here does anything other than just cost me a lot of money, way more money when I don't have the best hand. The problem with just calling is he's probably going to jam the turn. And then I don't think I want to call, but I have fantastic odds here, so calling is comfortably the best option for me. And that could be a good or bad card. Then I won't be folding now at any point. And if either of them have a higher flush, well, congratulations. I'm going to start by checking here with my cut shot raw flush draw. It'd be cool to make a raw flush in a video. Just going to just shove here. I mean, I'm not in love with the situation, but it's not like we're ever going to fold, and we could still get value from some sets and jack X. But no, he has a higher flush, which is a shame. But that's kind of what happens sometimes. So we've now made a flush in a 3-bet pot. Obviously, I'm a little bit concerned about him having 2 queens, but again, we'll have another situation where I just have to get it in. And if he's got 2 queens, I don't think I've got jack queen very often. If he's got 2 queens, well, again, hallelujah. And he makes that bet size, I pretty much think he's never folding. But maybe he is. Maybe he's just making an enormous bluff. And he peeled my 3-bet with the 9 jack suited, which probably isn't going to work out too well for him long term. Proof again that, given my reputation as a nit in these games, or not my reputation maybe, but the fact I am a nit, the fact that I still get people to call my 3-bets regulars as well, to call my 3-bets with jack 9 suited. Well, I find it quite amusing. It just shows people just aren't paying attention. I squeezed here because Dan Dubois, I've never done no idea what the player's like, but he's not tagged, so I'm going to assume he's probably not good. If Speculantius 4-bets me, I'm probably just going to fold, to be completely honest, because I don't believe he's going to be 4-betting a hand like jacks or 10s here. And to be fair, that is a really horrendous sizing from him. I mean, I'm going to fold, but let's just take a look at his sizing and talk about why it's horrendous. I mean, it's just put 33, 30, 35 blinds in pre-flop. He's clearly never ever folding here. If he was to make that a smaller size, to make it $9 or something, $8.70, it's a chance that I could misread the strength of his hand. But when he makes it that size, to be frank, I think we're just going to laugh at the player. I mean, he really is really poor. I mean, the fact there's probably regulars in the games today making such fundamental errors with the bet sizing is it's encouraging. It truly is encouraging. Here's Dopey again. Unfortunately, he didn't have the jack 9 suited this time, so he couldn't call. Nah, we won't be like that. Just limping here. I don't know. I mean, that 4-bet sizing maybe versus my squeeze size. Maybe it was appropriately sized. It just seemed way too big to me. I'd be interested if anyone gets this far in the video, which who knows if people are getting this far or not. And if they get this far and they see that hand, I would be interested in people's opinions on his sizing and my opinion of his sizing. And it just seemed really poor to me. Clifton John. I wonder if he's really called John Clifton, or is he from a place called Clifton with the first name of John? Who knows? Let me know, John, if you're watching. Let me know. I'm intrigued. So he's check min raised me on this board. There's absolutely no way I'm going to fold this hand at this point against somebody who I believe is probably not going to be a regular player. That could be a good or a bad card. I'd certainly pick up some equity if I was behind. But it's going to cost me some more money because I'm probably going to stay in the pot because of it. Again, it's a really easy call. I think the 7's actually quite a good card. I'm quite pleased with the 7. Yeah, because it just kind of doesn't rule out pocket 7s, but it makes it damn hard to have them. So now the hand I'm most worried about would be pocket 4s. Maybe some kind of 9-7 suited. I'm not in love with this river. With this, I mean, I call a river better of this size. I'm not sure if I'm going to be good often enough here. But I don't know if this guy's bad enough to do this with a 9. And when I'm not sure and I have a bluff catcher against somebody I don't know, I tend to click the call button. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. Thanks, Clifton John. Nice try, but this time you did not get a cigar. Be interesting now. He's straight back in the pot with me. If he makes an aggressive play again here, I might just be prepared to play ace queen flop, my chips pre-flop, which is typically not something I'm prepared to do. But I would be against Clifton John in this exact situation. And he just calls. I'm not going to see bet here. I think he's maybe a little bit salty. He's already proved that he can make some quite thin check raises. I don't particularly want to be playing a big pot here with this hand right now. I'm going to take a little shot at a 3-bet with a 6-5. I'm going to just call this bet because I believe I can still have the best hand, and that's not a good bet. And I'm pretty much going to fold unless he gets really small. No, we're just going to fold here. I don't think we're folding the best hand too often there, and if we are, well, so what? It's not that much of a big deal. Expect value. Come on, sir. Will you please stop making the games take so long with your constant tanking? Probably because you've got 6 tables going. It's pretty selfish. And the ace of clubs here, I would think about peeling, but I don't, so I'm not going to. And we just wait 5 hours for expect value again, because he's a selfish son of a bitch who is playing too many tables and just holding the game up for everybody else. Congratulations, sir. You are an idiot. It's not the worst club in the world for 2/6s. Having said that, it's not the best club in the world for getting too many folds on, which is kind of what I want when if I bet this hand, I'm wanting people to fold. So I'm not ready to turn my hand into a bluff. I don't think I would turn into a bluff anyway, because a better hand would never fold on that board. So I'm probably just going to check fold. That's the interesting turn card, which is now going to lead me to check call. I still don't believe I can get an awful lot of value. But at least now I have some equity if I am behind and I do face a bet. Can I get thin value on this river? That seems unlikely to me. Pocket 4 is about the only hand I can think of that I could get some thin value from. Maybe a hand like Ace 5. So I'm just going to check again and probably fold. Unless he bets really small and 90 cents or something. We'll probably call then. Oh, there's a lot of people taking way too much time in these games. Quite frustrating. We know much about you. You are 1812 in my database. Not the kind of person I particularly want a 3-bet bluff. This hasn't been as interesting as I would have hoped this session so far. Not too many cool spots. The games are loads. People are limping in a lot. So the games are pretty good right now. It's just unfortunately we haven't managed to find too many interesting spots. Clifton John again. Here we are, John. I'm going to value bet against you for the time being. If you raise, I'm probably going to call given what happened earlier. But you didn't. What I am thinking of doing, by the way, if anyone's got this far and can help me, is I'm thinking of starting to stream on Twitch on probably on a nightly basis, just for an hour or two. I actually have a Twitch account now. I just have absolutely no idea how to make it work. So if anybody is watching this and they would like a free coaching session in exchange for helping me set Twitch up, then please do get in touch via the usual places: Reddit, Microgrinder, or it's in the comment section of the video. Yes, so if you can set me up with Twitch, bearing in mind I am quite the idiot when it comes to technology, I will happily reward you with a free coaching session, so get in touch. I'm really liking the way Twitch is going with poker. It seems to be growing in popularity. I'm sure I won't ever be a particularly popular Twitcher playing the games that I play and playing the style that I play. But having said that, anything that can help raise my profile as a player and as a coach and anything which is obviously it can't be a bad thing. On top of that, it might just be fun. Even if we only get a small following, it could still be fun. I'm just going to call here because he's probably bad and I don't know Kiam in the big blind, so he could be bad too. So it's a kind of hand I don't mind playing against people who I suspect could be poor. Probably going to call one c-bet here and then give up. And someone is now chatting to me. This is this Funky Fever character. If you are watching these videos, Funky, please stop doing what you're doing in the chat box. he regularly talks in the middle of hands when there's multi-way pots. He is forever talking strategy at the tables between hands, and yeah, for somebody who like me who is trying to make money from coaching, it might be a little bit two-faced to say let's stop, talking strategy at the tables. But yeah, it's never a good thing to do. We don't really want the really poor recreational players that we're making money from to pick anything up from us, to realise there's actually just strategy to be had. Yeah, of course, some players want to learn, and some players will watch my videos with the intention of learning. Some people will pay me for me to teach them. But I think that is very different from just giving away free education at the tables, and on top of that, just speculating on what other players' hands might be whilst in the middle of multi-way pot. It's not big, it's not clever. It probably indicates that you are not a particularly good thinking player. Just stop doing it, please. Please just stop doing it. I'm all for a bit of banter. I like a bit of banter. I like having a little bit of image with some fellow regulars. It can be fun. But what you're doing isn't banter. It's just bad for business. It's quite the interesting flop against an unknown player who I suspect. Oh, there's going to be German called Johnny Hero. Sorry, it's going to be English. I would have stacked off. I probably will still stack off if he was to make a move on me. And if he's got the cue for 2 jacks on that board, well, good luck to you, sir. Now, the problem with the line there is quite often, if I do get raised, he is going to have the cue for 2 jacks, which is a shame. But folding over pairs to unknown players on wet boards, not really something I'm hugely into. If you've got it, they're usually going to get paid by me. And I don't worry too much about it. So we're now coming up to 38 minutes. We'll probably go for another couple of minutes and then we'll call it a day. Hopefully we can find some action before then. This may have been losing video too, I'm not sure. I've got some decent stacks now, but we did lose some pots early in the session. Maybe this is going to be my second losing video. I hope not, but it could be. And if it is, it really is no big deal. I'm not the kind of person who gets remotely orientated by short-term results, but I do have a proud record of losing only once so far in every video I've made. So yeah, it's a record I like to defend. And I think a lot of that is just a product of Prem my never autopiloting. And if I could play with this level of focus all the time, I think without question my win rate would be higher. Sometimes when you're not making a video though, it is easy sometimes to succumb to a little bit of autopilot, a little bit of tilt, who knows what else. None of that ever happens when I'm making videos, so perhaps that's why I've done so well in them. I'm just going to call here. I don't know anything about this guy. He's German. It doesn't really mean very much, but I think I'm going to check, call the flop, and then probably give up. That's going to be my plan here. Because I believe he will see that bluff a fair amount. Well, I think if I check call his flop, I think he's going to play pretty straightforwardly for the rest of the hand. Because when I check call his flop, I'm kind of over-repping my hand when I call here. I'm repping that I have a pair. At least. There's not really any draws out there, so I don't believe that queen could actually now end up costing me another $25.47. If he does have the hand he's repping, if he bets again, Things aren't really looking too healthy for me. Now it's just a matter of do I try and get some thin value on the river. I block nut flushes, so I will go for some value and hope I don't get raised. If I do get raised, I think it's quite interesting. Funky Fever, you never fold to 3 bets. So with that in mind, I'm going to 3 bet you. And you did fold to a 3 bet. Maybe Funky Fever and Seedborn have swapped accounts, because they are certainly beginning to mimic each other's play. Of course, I don't really mean that. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it's interesting that when you do have good reads on players and then they don't live up to those reads, A, you have to question your reads, but B, you have to also question, has this guy adjusted to me personally? Has he adjusted his game in general? Etc, etc. And that's kind of what makes poker interesting, but also quite frustrating, because we spend a lot of time developing these reads, and sometimes if people make a step change in their game, we're going to start all over again. You've got to treat them like a brand new regular. I'm just going to play around to my blinds now, guys, because we've had a little bit over the 40 minutes, but I think it's just because we had not some interesting points, but a couple of talking points. So we're going over just a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Just going to fold here. And maybe it's just been a winning session. Who knows? Hope it is so. Not for the money terms, just for the keeping the proud record going. It's one table down. I'm probably going to have another 4 or 5 hands on this table, given that we're currently in the big blind. I'm just going to take a stab at this, because I don't believe people would check a heart twice. So I also don't believe that I've got enough showdown value. So if I don't believe people would check a heart twice, and I don't believe I've got enough showdown value, bluffing seems a pretty acceptable line to take. So there we have it. Another video in the bag. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a comment. If you haven't, please leave a comment. And we'll see you all next time.